Good morning and welcome back to the Mama Genius Hub podcast, where we're going to dive straight into women's circles today. Now, yes, last week we talked a bit about the principles behind women's circles, but I want to talk a little bit about the intentions behind women's circles because I felt that was kind of missing from the principles. And there's two main intentions I want to focus on. The first one being is that you come however you are at. Whatever state you are in, wherever you are at is perfect because which leads us into intention number 2 is this is not therapy. This isn't let's fix each other that we're broken, that we're wrong. This is let's meet each other where we're at, express our feelings and see what comes forth, that we are able to see what comes from our heart. And that's how these two intentions kind of merge together, because when we show up wherever we are at, we get whatever we need, the medicine that we need from the circle. But again, we're not trying to fix each other. We're not saying that we are broken. We are here to explore together and to come into our feelings of who we are. And that's what women's circles are all about, is being seen, heard, and witnessed by other women and really listening to each other and hearing each other's experiences, because we're talking from our own hearts, from our own stories, our own experiences, that doesn't leave room for anything else but to be genuine and authentic, and to really see that coming forth from other women, which then tells our brain, yeah, I can do it too. I can be genuine. I can see what is going on inside my heart. And that is when we truly start learning about ourselves. But we also learn that we're not alone in this, which is why we're not broken, why we're not needing to be fixed. We're all going through these experiences together in different ways, different shapes, different forms, at different points, different times, but we can start to see some of those similarities and start to help each other by seeing, hearing, and witnessing each other. I have to admit, yesterday, actually last week, even before I did last week's podcast, I was in a dark place. I was just going down the rabbit hole of not being feeling worthy, and listening to Jamie Kern Lima's Worthy launch really helped with that as well. But it was also realizing that the worth comes from within. And a lot of times we struggle to see that or find that or realize how to unlock that. But circles give us the power and the intention to start that process in a unique, different way, because we crave community. It allows for that. So yesterday, I had the privilege of actually attending 4 women's circles in one day. The first circle was how I start most mornings, school mornings these days, is I have a mini circle with my 2 daughters. We share intentions for the day. We ask each other one big question that we share, and then we close the day and take some deep breaths together. And that's how we start our morning before going on the bus, just to bring some connection to each other. And today, one of the things we talked about was what we're grateful for. And I was just grateful for these little moments with them, that they're willing and wanting to do these with me. And it was just so funny because we've struggled so much with trying to find a way to do something that I thought was a morning routine that I wanted to instill with them. I tried meditation, tried different yoga, different things, and nothing was quite seeming to stick. But as soon as I said women's circle to them, Mommy has been doing this, they're like, well, how does it work? What do we have to do? And my 10-year-old, who usually doesn't want to do anything, is like, I can do that. And so most mornings we're doing it for 5 to 10 minutes, nothing fancy, nothing big, but it sets that tone and that principles and just gives us a little bit more chance to share with each other. So that's how I started the day. Then I was able to go to Gather the Women, which I've been trying to attend on Wednesdays and more often as I can, because I have it every day of the week for Circle of Stones, and just feeling that community with the women and the reach out, and me still being in that limbo state of trying to make all of this work and trying to get my message out there, but the struggle inside and the imposter syndrome and everything that comes up saying, I'm still don't feel successful at this. I'm still not doing this, so I should just quit. And the support, they're like, you need to keep going. And just the support that you get from this and helps you propel yourself forward. And then shortly after that, I did another recording for the Mama Genius Hub TV series where we did the mini circle afterwards. And so one of those, not the one from yesterday, but one of them will be at the end of this episode to give you a taste of what even a mini circle is capable of. Again, these are just short snippets. It's like one of the women from Gather the Women, Susan Nolan, said she wanted to actually come into the circle yesterday because she came to watch the show. And she was just like, I don't like feeling like I'm on the view on the outside of the rim, not able to participate in the circle. Is there time? Is there room for me to come join you? And so in yesterday's episode, she did. And it was powerful when we joined together and listened to what each of us needs and just coming together to share our own thoughts. And yesterday's episode was really powerful. And things kind of all went wrong. One of the speakers had to leave right as their part was coming on. Something happened with her dad. Totally understand. Just wishing her peace and love with whatever needed to be done. But then Susan was able to fill in that spot, and it turned into such a wonderful conversation about pleasure and what that means. And we'll have to air that later. But that's what happens when we start to come together and open each other up, is these ideas come out of us. And so that was and then I ended up going to another circle right after that she'd invite me to, about the feelings of not being enough. And they're called the enoughness, and helping women find, and I don't even know if the words finds right, because that's why with the reboot genius idea, it's not that it's not in us. It's how do we take away all the stuff that we've, like when the computer is just overloaded with all those things and we need to reboot the computer to start afresh because it was already there. All the programming, everything was already there. Just like your genius is already inside of you, your enoughness is already inside of you. It's realizing it and opening up to it and looking and seeing, what is my enoughness? How do I show it myself? Because the more we look for it for outside validation, the more we're never going to see it. I forgot who it said, but it was during the Jamie Kern Lima's one day event, where someone said, it wasn't that when I get all this validation from everyone outside of me, my heart is still yearning for that self-love, to be loved by myself, to say that I love you. And if we don't give that to our hearts, we're going to be looking for that from everywhere else, but no one can give you that self-love, that feeling of worthiness. And as I was doing a self-coaching script with myself yesterday, in between all these circles, because I was deep into the thought process and everything, I realized a lot of my own value or worth I was putting on the idea of making money, and that I didn't have much worth because I wasn't there yet. And that was kind of painful realization, but I kind of knew it, but it wasn't quite saying it out loud. Even right now, I'm like, should I have said that right now? And that vulnerability right now of just that feeling of worth and feeling worthless because of where I'm at right now. So I'm working towards that and going through and having these conversations and feeling the support of other women and seeing where they're at and what they're going through and how they're thinking about it is really helping me shift that perspective that is not my worth. My value is my voice, is this message that I feel ingrained in me to help moms support themselves and have that self-care and that self-love. I mean, yesterday's episode was all about unleashing self-care and not saying anymore that we're not worth it, because each one of you is worth it and you have that worthiness inside of you. I also love during Jamie Kern Lima's one day event, that one of the key principles from her books comes up is that I'm crazy until. So everyone around you, because you're first to have these ideas, to have this stuff emerge from you, everyone around you thinks you're crazy. I'm first until you get to that point where everyone goes like, oh, that's what you've been doing all along. That makes sense because other people are starting to recognize it. But it's that process of feeling crazy in your own head to struggling through and making sure that what's in your heart, what's in your soul comes out. And then that shift, as you struggle through the clarity, as you struggle to make that thought, that those ideas in you more, that eventually that until comes. The until that people start to understand what you've been doing. as you start to understand what is it is in you that needs to come out and things start to be more clear. And that's what this is all about, is rebooting and unlocking that genius inside of you and doing it in a supportive environment. And that's why I am so just filled with joy to bring women together, because I see the power and the joy and the smiles that come from it. And then I see that transferring outside of you, outside to your families, outside, and you are truly becoming the role models that you want your kids to be. We also had the conversation came up yesterday about looking at how our moms might have been, or our grandmothers, and how we might have seen that picture of them martyring themselves. And slowly we've been starting to do that. I felt myself doing that and making that shift that it doesn't have to be that way. But the shift needs to start with us, because I'm assuming or guessing, at least for me as well, I don't want my daughters to fill that role. But if I'm modeling that role for them, just as my mother and other and grandmothers and things have modeled that in front of me, then that's what's going to happen. And so with that, I want to leave you with today and dive into witnessing this women's circle and have the possibility of, can I join one? Can I start one? What would it be like for you to sit in circle with other women? What would that feel like for you? Just open up the possibilities to see where your mind takes you as you watch. And maybe you pause the video and answer it yourself out loud to see what it sounds like to be part of this circle. What would it be like for your voice to be heard in this particular circle with what is being said? What does it spark in you? Hit pause and share out loud. Hear your own voice in this circle that will be presented next. And I thank you for tuning into Mama Genius Hub. And please share in the comments, what would it be like if your voice was heard in that circle? I would love to hear it. And come join us in the Mama Genius Facebook group, where we can share those thoughts and have those conversations. And I'll see you in the next episode. Going straight into our women's circle today, one of the elements that we talk about is really speaking from the heart. That's where this really comes out, is when we truly start to listen and be seen and heard from each other, so that we're not trying to say something different. We're not trying to just speak from our head. We're really trying to get into our hearts. And the way we do that is by creating this space of where we feel safe to talk from the heart and who we are. And that's the whole purpose of circle, essentially, is really to create that space that allows for that within inside of us. And so with that, I'm going to open up this circle and I'm going to do what we call stitching in, because when we stitch in, we create this connection between whoever is in our circle. And so today I have such wonderful women to stitch in with. And then we get to the part to where we share from the heart. So I'm Michelle, stitching in from Wisconsin with the intention of truly trying to bring forth what is a women's circle and why are they so valuable to not only myself, but to bring that forth to the audience. And that is my purpose for today.
I'm Jamile, coming in from North Carolina, and my intention today is just to align back to that community that we all have access to.
You're muted, Teresa.
Hi, I'm Teresa, stitching in from Jacksonville, Florida. And my intention is to just be present and receive the gift that comes from being in this circle.
Hi, I'm Christina, stitching in from Ontario, Canada. And my intention today is to practice being open and authentic and brave and allow whatever comes up to come up.
Every time I just hear people's intention, my heart just gets a little bit more open. And I think that's the whole key to circle. And so the passage that I picked, which I'm going to be using through all these first episodes, came from earlier when I was on a women's circle right before coming to this episode recording. It must have just been divine timing, is when we open our hearts to those things, it really does come in. And so one of the women shared this passage, which I just thought was so key to unlocking that within inside of us. So just listen. I Sit to the Wind by Judith Erg, a woman's encounter with herself. How might your life have been different if, as a young woman struggling, to find your voice in despair that you might never be able to say what you knew inside? What if there had been a place for you to begin to speak as a woman? If you had been received into a circle of women, and during the silence, the woman had let you speak over and over as your words slowly came together. If they had listened deeply and attentively to your emerging voice. And how might it have been different for you if you had seen that day in the faces of women sitting in the circle, in the still older faces of women standing silently behind them in the shadows, the pride and respect they felt as they heard your young woman's voice? How might your life have been different? And now I open the circle.
My life would have been different because I feel like that poem is for now. Like, it wasn't until my 40s that I was even open to what else is possible from within me. So just that voice, that woman encountering herself, was now. I am complete.
I honestly didn't think I had anything worth saying. So I was very quiet, and like you, up until my 40s. I started, maybe late 30s, early 40s, I started actually speaking, and people were like, whoa. And I thought, me? So I think if I started speaking earlier, I wonder if it would have the impact that it does now, because I've gotten to know myself better and now I'm able to share. And I'm complete.
Yeah, that poem really hit me today because I realized I hid my voice for so long, and I even hid my voice from myself. Like I shoved it away, like that little voice that's, telling me that maybe I should pick a different path. I was like, no, 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 this is the path that everyone else takes, so it must be the right path. And if I had had somebody who honored that voice and who celebrated the weirdness that is me, and whatever comes up, I think it would have changed completely my trajectory. So today I'm celebrating that, now in my 40s, I do have that space and I do listen to my voice. And I am so grateful for these circles where I can present myself authentically and be celebrated. I am complete.
I have to breathe that in because just feeling all of your words and my own struggle in finding my own voice and feeling that it wasn't worth being heard because I was so busy worrying about what other people thought or what they wanted that I didn't think that my voice was worthy of any of that. Like I had to hide that and just do what I think people wanted. And ironically, what just popped in my head right now is it turned me into someone who is really sarcastic, thinking that I had to be like witty or like throw those one punches back and it ended up being that it got to the point where it was like kind of that one liner that you're like, ooh, did someone just say that? And like I could stop a whole room. And so that really shut me down too when I started to realize that. And I was trying to be someone else. That wasn't even my heart. That wasn't who I was. That wasn't who I felt was even right. But that was who I thought I needed to be be the jokester in the room, or I don't know what it was, but or even self-preservation maybe. But once I finally started to release that, I realized I don't want to use those kind of words. Sarcasm for me, like I realize is like the lowest form of humor now is because I want to be uplifting. I want to share those compliments with women. I want to uplift them, not put people down with that sarcasm. And that's who I truly am. And finding that voice has really led me to want to do this and to bring these circles to others because I want others to find what is their actual voice, not what they think it is, but what is it really? And with that, I am complete. And so now I invite us to unfortunately close this short circle, but to show the beauty of what can happen. But think about this as a longer minimum of an hour of what can happen within women sharing together, the beauty, the magic of it. And so with that, I will pass it on to Christina to stitch out for us.
Okay. I am stitching out with just a big feeling of gratitude at being able to show up today and being heard. I am complete.
I am also stitching out with gratitude and just feeling so blessed to be among such dynamic women. I am complete.
Feel so like aligned because although Michelle, you're the facilitator, the vulnerability makes me want to be vulnerable too in a safe space like this. So I just feel complete that we can be all of it.
Oh, I'm Michelle and I'm stitching out from Wisconsin, and I just feel my heart every circle, even in these brief 10 minutes, just open and expand. And I can feel that energy going to transform the rest of my day. And I feel like that's the beauty of it, is that we learn these principles within the circle, but it transforms us to be that more caring, that more empathetic mom that now will have the patience later. My girls come screaming at that door because they do it every single day, like, top of their lungs, but to embrace that instead of trying to like squash it. And I think that's the beauty of us coming together. And I thank you all for joining us on the Mama Genius Hub TV show today. And we'll see you all on the next episode. Bye, everyone.